There are no shortage of people that want to provide their insights, astute or otherwise, on financial markets. Some do so within investment banks or hedge funds, but others are more entrepreneurial. Citrini Research, a firm in the latter camp, has proved itself a sensation by causing a shift in the markets with its work not once but twice single-handedly. Find out why on the Coffee Run. This week's top story is around the increasingly famous research firm Citrini. It's been publishing its work since 2023, looking at everything from AI to Ozempic, but it really hit its stride in 2026, both commercially and artistically. Its latest report, focusing on the recent tensions in the Strait of Hormuz, has caused a sensation in the markets, primarily praising an anonymous researcher that visited the region. Analyst number 3, as Catrini dubbed him, has become a micro-celebrity overnight. The intrepid investigative reporter, who speaks 4 languages, left for Oman with recording equipment, $15,000 in cash, as well as, more importantly, Cuban cigars and zin. In what reads like a well-written novella, Analyst number 3 said he flew to the UAE and travelled through to Oman. At the Omani border, he was questioned by senior officials and made to sign a pledge against reporting, information gathering, and photography. After passing through, he organised a ride to the strait on a dinghy belonging to a group of smugglers aligned with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. When Omani officials figured out what he was up to, they told him to cancel the trip and leave Oman, but he snuck on the boat regardless. Conversations with people on the strait revealed that a lot of what people believed about the situation was misguided. One ship captain told Analyst number 3 that the primary motivation for boats not crossing the strait wasn't insurance as some believed, it was more importantly that the people on those boats didn't want to die. That seems obvious in hindsight, and yet the thought eluded many people in comparatively safe banking jobs. Analyst number 3 also found that there were far more ships crossing through the strait than people believed. Some did so covertly, while others, including a large Greek oil tanker, moved straight through the middle. The latter seemingly had a quote-unquote bespoke arrangement with Iranians. Ships with such an arrangement had to turn off their transponders to pass through a functional checkpoint imposed by Iran, which meant that financial services firms, over-reliant on their official data channels, were none the wiser. Analyst number 3, who has a strong argument for being the coolest person in the world in 2026, proceeded to swim in the strait while smoking a cigar as Iranian drones flew overhead. We've left out a lot of the story. It's well worth the read, and Citrini has now released it for free, but the sheer insanity of it all has catapulted Analyst number 3 to superstardom. Of course, he had far more freedom and opportunity than an equity researcher in some highly regulated investment bank would have, but there are lessons to be learned that there's always more to things than meets the eye. If you want to know what the equivalent kind of work would be in a bank, look no further than Rothschild Equity Research VP Dominic Ball. He covers payments fintech Fiserv, and last year, while most people were saying it was a buy, Ball went against the grain and told people to sell. He came to this conclusion by simply speaking to people that actually used Fiserv's products, who thought that they were expensive and awkward to use. The company reported a massive earnings shortfall in October, vindicating Ball. Among those less vindicated was James Fawcett, head of fintech research at Morgan Stanley, who said to buy at $179. Today, it's priced at just $56. While Ball's investigation was much less dangerous and exciting, obviously, than Analyst number 3, the boots-on-the-ground approach has legs even within corporate roles. Ball, who was 26 at the time, was promoted from VP to director last month. Surprisingly enough, you could argue that Analyst number 3's report is not Citrini Research's finest work in 2026 so far. While Analyst number 3 was focused on facts, a prior report titled The 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis caused a stir in the markets in February, despite by and large being a work of fiction. The report released on Substack describes a hypothetical scenario in which AI displaces all high earners who then cannot pay their mortgages, which results in the mother of all financial crises. Citrini posits that the US economy has been built on a giant rent extraction layer on top of human limitations. Time and friction have been monetized, as people are willing to pay money even just to save on a few extra clicks. While the economy currently operates through a self-correcting cycle, the introduction of AI may break that cycle for the worse. Companies invest in AI to protect their profit margins, which in turn means they need to employ fewer people. They lay off the unnecessary staff, who then have less purchasing power, so on a macro scale, spending decreases and the economy worsens. Then, for companies to protect themselves against a weakening economy, they invest more in AI and it starts all over again. While the 2008 financial crisis was more so a problem of poor quality loans being issued in the first place, this crisis would be a result of previously rock-solid loans becoming far more untenable. After its release, the S&P 500, which Citrini said would be hypothetically down 38% in 2028, declined 1%. Other software ETFs declined as much as 4%. Things changed after people spoke out about just how viable a scenario this actually was. Chief among them was Citadel Securities macro strategist Frank Flight. He suggested that if we were to approach such a crisis, the price of compute would rise due to the abundance of companies investing in their AI capabilities. At the levels of extremity suggested by Citrini, this could mean that opting for human workers will be more affordable than doubling down on AI. Not only that, he said that the level of compute intensity required to facilitate layoffs at such a grand scale is nowhere near where we're currently at. Citrini seems to somewhat agree with the criticism. It ended the note by saying it's certain that some of these scenarios won't materialise. It seems the goal of the story was to get people talking, which it certainly did. As with the Oman field trip, it's not clear exactly who wrote it, but one of the names associated is Alap Shah, a venture capitalist and CEO of agentic AI firm Littlebird. So who's actually behind Citrini Research? Its CEO is James Van Gielen, who hasn't worked at any of the major financial firms and instead has a background as an emergency medical technician. His medical background meant that he was able to see the impact of GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic before they really took off and use investments in that space to launch Citrini. He seems to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. The Citrine Index, which is locked behind a paywall, has supposedly more than doubled the performance of the S&P 500 since it launched in 2023. What's next for Citrini? People are already making markets on whether analyst number 3 is going to return to the Middle East, but it's a more likely situation their next report will catch us off guard. Whatever it is, it seems the street is eager in anticipation.